Good evening and welcome to I'm Chris Parnell.
Reporting from Moscow.
Tbilisi, Times Square.
May your dreams be your only boundaries in life.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host for our show, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and their skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, today's show features an organization that urges us to live united, solve it together. And yes, we're talking about the venerable United Way of the Mid-South. Celebrating 90-plus years in our community, United Way of the Mid-South touches some 80 other nonprofits in 8 counties in our area, all the while recognizing that we can do more together than any of us can do on our own. In this first portion of our show, we'll meet Dr. Kenneth Robinson, President, CEO of the United Way of the Mid-South. And in our second segment of our show, we will continue visiting with Dr. Robinson and will be joined by Michael Stewart, a longtime volunteer for their organization. Joining us now is Dr. Kenneth Robinson, President, CEO of United Way of the Mid-South. Welcome, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you very much, Donna. Glad to be with you.
I'm so happy that you're here today. Now, you've taken quite the path to get to United Way and to this current position as President and CEO of United Way. Tell us about your path and how you ended up at United Way.
It's been a long and winding road, a very eclectic career. As you know, I'm bi-professional. I'm both a physician and a minister. And for many, many years, almost 24 years, I've been involved with United Way one way or the other. But my life has been one of mixing medicine, academic medicine, triangulating public health, the work in the faith community, governmental entities together for the sake of improving the lives of persons in at-risk communities. And 25 years ago, I came to Memphis to pastor St. Andrew AME Church, and in the last quarter century, we've been building the model of a healthy, sustainable community there. Building education, small school, early childhood education, farmers market, small demonstration kitchen, working through a community development corporation, helping families get out of poverty, become homeowners. And in the meantime, I've practiced medicine much of my life. While I was building community in South Memphis, Governor Bredesen invited me to spend 4 years as the state health commissioner. I came back as a public health policy advisor to the mayors of Shelby County. I've been on 1,000 boards. I've supported United Way. I've been an advisor to United Way. I was a funder of United Way. 16 years ago, United Way of America gave me their annual Community Builder Award for my service as a volunteer at that time and what we were doing in South Memphis. And so about a year and a half ago, United Way said, well, there's a guy over in South Memphis, and let's see if we could encourage him to come and consider being in this position.
Well, so basically you built kind of a little microcosm of what United Way is offering now.
Absolutely.
Basically.
I thought I had some bona fide credentials on the street around the issues and the focus areas of education, financial stability, and health. And I've done this, and when I was approached, I said, perhaps I can make some contribution to United Way of the Mid-South.
My God, well, I think so.
I didn't know.
Ideally suited, and boy, that's one wise board, isn't it?
Well, they took a big risk.
Oh, well,
but I hope I'm not disappointing them. It's been about 13 months, so I'm glad to be there.
Really?
Right.
I didn't realize it had been such a short time, but 13 months and you're making quite the impact.
Thank you.
Well, United Way itself is an international organization with some 1,800 countries
That's exactly.
that it covers, right?
That's right.
Now, the Mid-South, I said it in the intro that you cover 8 counties total and some 80 agencies.
That's
typically, right?
It's fascinating because we are literally the United Way of the Mid-South. So not only do we cover agencies here in Shelby County, but also in Fayette, Tipton, and Lauderdale County in Tennessee, DeSoto, Tate, and Tunica County in Mississippi, and across the river in Crittenden County. And so we are the United Way, mobilizing community resources and supporting agencies in all of those communities, and really trying to bring and drive home some sort of major community impact to ameliorate the lives of individuals and families in those 8 counties. That's a big task, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot of footprint to cover. And,
it is.
But 80 agencies. Now, how do you pick those agencies? They must have things in common. What do they have?
Thankfully, many of the agencies have been partner agencies with United Way for many, many years, but all of them are human or social service agencies. All of them are touching and impacting the lives of individuals and families. They do it in different ways. We have agencies that are working in the social service needs of families. We have agencies that are helping persons become meaningfully employed. There are agencies that are providing critical essential services such as the American Red Cross. There are agencies that are focused on alcohol and drug abuse and treatment and recovery, and other health-related agencies helping to keep children from being domestically abused. There are agencies that are just out in the community helping to improve the lives and expand the horizon and the vision of young people, big brothers, big sisters, boys and girls clubs. And so our agencies represent the whole panoply of entities that can, at multiple points in the lives of individuals and families, take them from point A to point B.
I see, I see. Well, since you've come in the last 13 months, you've been concentrating on specific areas. Talk about those and why you think they're important.
We are really trying to ensure that the community understands that United Way has some focus areas. We do many, many things, but we are intentional about trying to improve third grade literacy. We understand that children at the 3rd grade level, if they really are not reading at grade level, they're likely to fail starting then, and much more likely not to graduate from high school. Only 11% historically of the children in our school system here in this region are ready for college or career in Shelby County schools, and so we're focused on 3rd grade literacy and now early childhood education. It really does set a trajectory for a child and for the child's success.
Yes.
You have excellent schools here, obviously, in Germantown, and one of the reasons that you're focused on excellent education is that it projects. It's a positive predictor of how well people will do in life. The other main focus, however, is a pervasive problem facing us in the Mid-South, and that's poverty. We have many, many families that are living in generational poverty, that have been cycling around the same areas. They go for assistance, they're learning certain skills and tools, but they're really stuck in poverty. And many of our agencies serve as the front doors. One of the things I'm working on is creating a system, a network of our agencies that are partnering together, connecting together, so that if there is a no wrong door approach, an individual or a family that comes to one agency can meet persons, staff persons who can help them make an intelligent handoff from one agency to the next. If an individual dreams of improving himself, if a family wants to get out of poverty, isn't it a good idea to be able to connect the dots among our human and social service agencies? It's fascinating because it's not easily done, but when we live united,
Yes.
we can solve this problem together.
Yes, we can. And, you know, when I hear you say that, there's great synergy to be gained among these agencies. And if they're living in silos, you're exactly right. That doesn't happen.
And
so,
all of our agencies provide excellent services, excellent one-off services, but it is the dream and the vision of helping the Mid-South understand that people can move
Right.
to points of financial self-sustainability and financial stability, and then helping our agencies understand that they are not in silos, they are not islands, but that their own awareness of other agencies can be put to task, and we can really be much more effective in moving individuals and creating a path for them and helping them achieve their dreams. Only when we work as a united network.
Is that your slogan, to live united, solve it together?
You did pick up on that, didn't you?
I completely love it. I know that we've seen it on some of your T-shirts that you're showing, and I completely love it. I know I'd not heard it before. I figured it was yours.
And that is really the key. United Way sits in a very unique spot. We're at the crux, at the intersection of governmental agencies, nonprofit agencies, 420 corporate partners that run United Way campaigns at their workplace, and then the rest of the community. All the persons who are contributing, 30,000 donors to United Way every year.
Wow.
And we want your viewers to be among those.
Absolutely.
But clearly we have the capacity to understand what the needs are in our community, and we have the capacity and the calling to convene, to create collaborations, to build those connections, and to really address not only the excellent work being done in our agencies, but to address big issues, root causes, the things that government by itself, marvelous corporate philanthropy by itself, even our excellent 80 agencies by themselves cannot do. Only when we live united
and solve it together.
And we can solve it together.
Yeah, it's such a comprehensive approach that,
Yes.
and that's the best way to handle it, I'm certain. You know, you spoke about the campaign a minute ago. I know that United Way has enormous visibility during the campaign season, but that's only a few months of the year.
That's right.
And the needs go on year-round. So how do you keep United Way visible and viable throughout the rest of the year?
That's an excellent question. And historically, United Ways have been thought of the entity that comes into the workplace, runs a campaign, and disappears. But today, increasingly, people want to know that they're part of a bigger initiative, that they're making a greater impact upon the community. And so, outside of the campaign, it is critical for us to not only tell the story about what's happening at our agencies, but to engage volunteers, to get them year-round, to know the stories, to see the stories, to live the stories, to work with our agencies, to have the communication tools, to be able to reach our agencies and to hear about the work of United Way online, to use the digital platforms that we all know very well, Twitter, Facebook, and even to use the internet. Volunteer Memphis is a new opportunity for us in partnership with Leadership Memphis to help people find volunteer connections between their own passions or perhaps a company's corporate social responsibility, CSR profile, to connect their employees to volunteer opportunities, and not only with United Way agencies, but throughout the area. Consistent, ongoing, year-round engagement, very, very critical for people to remember that it's not just about a campaign, but it is about individuals and families whose lives are being touched every day. 600,000 lives last year touched by United Way.
That's
because
amazing.
of the engagement, the cooperation, the collaboration, and the donations of persons just like your viewers.
So many, huh?
So many,
So absolutely many.
600,000 lives.
This partnership that you have with Leadership Memphis, called Volunteer Memphis, right? That is a very, very unique approach, isn't it? Basically, you're practicing what you preach. You're saying we can't accomplish everything ourselves. Let's partner with Leadership Memphis and see if we can get some raised profile for volunteers. How is that working out? I know it's just getting started.
Absolutely, and we are a great partner with Leadership Memphis. We're working with the new Memphis Institute as well, and part of what United Way does is not have to reinvent the wheel, but again, build the collaborations, build the connections, and Leadership Memphis does an extraordinary job introducing leaders throughout the area to nonprofit needs and to the broader stories and the narratives that can be influenced by leaders who are able to shake and move. And so this is a marvelous partnership for us with Leadership Memphis.
I think that's fabulous. We're about to meet one of your key volunteers who you didn't get through Leadership Memphis, who's been around a long time, who's going to join us. Will you stay with us a minute?
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy about that.
All right, good. Stay right here and we'll be joined by one of your wonderful volunteers.
Thank you.
Now we're going to pause now for a short break, and when we return, we'll continue talking with Dr. Robinson, and we'll be joined by Michael Stewart, a key volunteer with United Way.
Welcome to Germantown High School, an international baccalaureate creative and performing arts optional school, a destination school for students who are going places.
So students are of the highest caliber when it comes to their academics and knowledge.
The IB program is a very rigorous program.
You were challenged in a way that you thought you couldn't be challenged. You succeeded, something that other kids may not have thought they could do.
They're accepted to colleges that are just, dream colleges for so many people.
Germantown High School offers a CAPA program, the Creative and Performing Arts program.
When I first came here, I saw the television studio and I was just amazed at what all I saw.
Kids do everything, that they're taught every detail that has to do with theater arts and creative arts.
I love a lot of things about Germantown High School, but primarily what I love is the athletics. There's something exciting around every single corner.
We probably are one of the most diverse high schools in the state of Tennessee, maybe the United States.
I would never doubt about sending your child to Germantown High School.
This high school is something not like any other high school that we have.
There's definitely fun in the work. We find fun in everything we do.
Welcome back. We're pleased to continue our discussion with Dr. Robinson, President, CEO of the United Way of the Mid-South, and to be joined by Michael Stewart, a longtime volunteer for the organization. Thank you for staying with us, Dr. Robinson.
Delighted, thank you.
And welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much.
I
appreciate it, Donna.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you're a longtime volunteer for United Way. Tell me, first of all, how long have you been volunteering? How did you become acquainted with the organization?
Well, I've been a volunteer for right about 8 years, and I really was a FedEx employee, and FedEx is one of the organizations that provides volunteers for the United Way organization. I was solicited by my boss at that time to be a participant of the United Way, and it becomes a part of your blood, and I've been doing it for the last 8 years, and I have not regretted a moment of it. I tell everyone it's the hardest job I've ever loved.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to put that. You can make a T-shirt out of that
Absolutely,
next, right?
positively.
You know, honestly, you did join, you were with FedEx, you retired in 2013?
That is correct,
right?
Yes.
And you joined United Way initially, I think, as like what they used to call a loaned executive.
That is correct, yes. I was a loan executive at that time. And now we have a concept where we have speakers, we have individuals that do the actual go out and make the solicitation, and others that make the collection of the funds. This way, it takes away possibilities of individuals being overburdened with one part or doing the whole thing.
Well, exactly.
And we really depend on volunteers like Michael.
I bet you do.
He knows United Way, he loves United Way, he can tell the United Way story. He's not a talking head, he's not a staff person, he's not the president, CEO, but he's someone who represents the best of our corporate partners and then the community. At this point, he's not tied vocationally to FedEx, but certainly that experience and his background as an executive of FedEx and the love for United. Oh my God, it's the wonderful combination. We depend on folks like Michael every year.
Well, there's a great amount of credibility that a volunteer brings in when they tell your story for you.
Absolutely.
As well,
It's
especially if you're telling it to a company of peers or, you know, peer-like organizations.
That's so very true, because at the outset, before my manager at that time asked me to be a part, I was always a contributor to the United Way. But I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do, because it was a part, it helped our community, the Mid-South. So in that was my primary focus in that. After being selected and being able to participate in it, seeing some of the agencies, being able to tour some of the agencies and see the work that they're doing, it made me just become a vital part of it, and it's a part of my life.
So talk about some of the benefits to the organizations for your volunteer efforts and others like you, and the benefits to you, which I'm certain there are many.
Well, I'll start with the benefits to me is that it's a opportunity for me to spread the word of the good news, because there's so many organizations, as you said, 80 plus agencies of the United Way that people are not associated with. They do not know that they're actively participating with the United Way. For an example, if the fire department has a fire and comes to someone's home and they provide shelter and clothing for them, that's an agency of the United Way.
Gracious.
So these are things that are vital to our community, and what I believe is that the United Way is not a Band-Aid, but it's a total resolution to situations and problems that exist in our community.
Well said.
Because it can address the bigger issue, right?
Yes, ma'am. And it's not limited to just a portion. One of the things that I've always thought about, and one of the original speeches that I gave when I was a volunteer, was about a potential of a young lady that may have difficulties in her family and may have 2 young children and loses her home.
Oh my
so
gracious.
what are the needs that that person has? So we can look at, she needs shelter first of all, and there are other things. She may need daycare. So the thing is, the United Way, working united, solving problems together, allows that person to be able to address the whole needs of that individual and that family. And that's the way I look at the United Way.
You know, what I'm sensing from what you're saying, though, is the tremendous, what you've reaped in return from that. I mean, there must be a great deal of satisfaction that comes back to you.
It truly is, because, and one of the things is, the most satisfying thing for me is when you see people that you've gone and you've met at different locations or different sites, and they see you and they say, oh, that's the person that talked to me from the United Way. Oh, yes, and I've used some of their services. And these are the things that make you feel good about what you're doing. Because sometimes in the days of when things that may not be going the best, there's always something to pick you up, because you use the abilities of those people that have given you inspiration to keep you going.
So the need for volunteers is probably, it has to be enormous then.
It does.
Right, Dr. Robinson?
It really meets a great need, and we use volunteers, and what is really important, what you've heard from Michael today, is the heartfelt gratitude to our agencies, his exposure to the agencies. But Michael also, over these years of his being a volunteer with United Way, has seen the back office, and he's been able to see the big picture. And so for your viewers, the story is a little bit of both and. It is about the individual lives that we touch. It's about the individual families with whom we engage in providing great services. But it is also about the larger picture. It is also about how all of that comes together in a confluence of impact upon a community. In fact, the communities of the 8 counties that we serve, and we need volunteers at our agencies, but we also need volunteers at Corporate United Way to help us keep the wheels on the cart as we're doing this extraordinary work with individuals and families and the agencies that serve them, and even pulling together and bringing coalitions and collaborations and engaging in collective action and pulling the government and the nonprofit community and the corporate community. And Michael's been able to see how we look when we're really, really living and working united, and he can see that there's a broader impact. And to have that come from his mouth, for Michael to tell that story, for him to carry that narrative among his peers, retirees, wow, is invaluable.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking about it as a corporate businesswoman myself.
Yes.
I'm thinking that, and by the way, I was a loaned executive at one point too.
Oh,
Completely in New Orleans, by the way.
Thank you.
But I guess one of the things that always appealed to me is the low overhead that United Way carries, which is made possible to a large extent, I would think, by the number of volunteers and people that contribute so much to you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's invaluable for us to be able to multiply our capacity and our staff, the number of FTEs, particularly at peak time for United Way during campaign season, by engaging and involving skilled and gifted volunteers like Michael Stewart. I mean, this guy, we didn't just find him on the street. He's someone who had a marvelous and storied career at FedEx, and so to have him there to make himself available to us allows us to expand, multiply our capacity to really not only interface with our companies, but to get out and interface with the community. It absolutely helps.
You know, one of the other things that has become different about you lately is that you've changed location to and you have immersed yourself in the community that you're serving.
It's a great news story. At one point we were in the suburbs, but we're now in a marvelous building that was donated to us by Georgia Pacific. We're back in the Heights community, which is just north of the Binghamton community. So we're there in a real community. it helps me tell the story of what United Way is about. Yes, we are corporate. We do have relationships. I have relationships with the CEOs of all of our largest companies and many, many small. Yes, we are corporate in that we're in the corporate workplace, but at the end of the day, we're about touching lives, changing communities. We're out there in communities that are not perfect, that need the impact and the influence and our capacity to mobilize those resources. We're out there in the community, and being located on Tillman Street, right off of Jackson, in that area of Memphis is just a marvelous testimony. It is a marvelous visual. It's a marvelous part of our narrative that we literally are there to mobilize resources to improve the lives of communities, just like the Heights, just like Highland Heights, just like Binghamton. That's why we exist.
And I'm thinking that for me, if I were to go to work there every day, it would emphasize all the more what I was doing and why I was serving there. So I would think as your volunteers gather there, it does the same. Do you feel that way?
It's so very true, because the thing is you know that you're making a change. You're not just there to be there. You're there to make a change, and you see change and you hear about change, and when you reach out, it makes you feel better. You mentioned about the overhead, and that's one of the things that I've always thought that was very impressive about the United Way, because whenever I've been on engagements and spoken to people, I would always tell them, no matter who you give to, whatever organization you choose, ensure that you know what the overhead is, because you want what your dollar to be given to serve people, not to be given to make salary changes or upgrades to personal people.
Well, you're exactly right. You know, if as our viewers today watching probably feel the pull that I feel to get more involved. And so if they do, what do they do? How can they get more involved?
Please call us at United Way. Please go on our website, uwmidsouth.org. You'll learn all about United Way. You'll learn more about our leaders. You'll understand that we are really a credible entity, and that we've been here, as you say, for more than 90 years. That it's not only about the excellent work of agencies, but it's also about the big picture. uwmidsouth.org.
uwmidsouth.org. You can peruse the list of agencies that you have.
Absolutely.
You can look over everything that you, and I
donate.
Donate.
Support us.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. And get involved.
And get involved.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for being with us today.
Thank you,
it's
Donna.
such a wonderful, inspirational story, and I appreciate your visit.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guest on today's show, Dr. Kenneth Robinson, President and CEO, and Michael Stewart, key volunteer, both with United Way of the Mid-South. If what you've heard on our program today has inspired you to become more involved with United Way of the Mid-South, then please visit their website, uwmidsouth.org. uwmidsouth.org. If you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or for our station's complete programming guide, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again for joining us, and be sure and watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.